Since 2009, while the markets began their upward swings, financial media stressed the benefits of central bank planning the economy, low interest rates guaranteeing safety, and government promises backing up the whole mess. Today, we have markets which have lost most real investors. They have been behaving erratically in intraday trading and have confused even the more sophisticated investors. We are being forced into the nets of the globalist elite intentionally. Their grip is tightened with every recession, every crash, every time an individual has to accept government assistance. Can we ever get out of this mess? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today, we will get into Citi saying there's a risk of global recession. We're going to get into that and so much more. Let's get right away into the big article. As they say, we are currently in a highly precarious environment for global growth and asset markets after 2 or 3 years of relative calm. They're saying that the global growth was unusually weak in the fourth quarter at around 2% on year. Now remember, once again, these numbers, complete fraud. And yet they're saying it's unusually weak at those points, at the fraudulent numbers. The most recent deterioration in the global outlook is due to a moderate worsening in the prospects for the advanced economies, a large increase in the uncertainty about the advanced economies' outlook, notably for the US, and a tightening in the financial conditions everywhere. What I'm seeing, what I have seen historically so many times before everywhere, is that when a country is right at that point where they're about to admit there's a crisis, it's already going on, but before they actually admit it, they try everything. They try monetary easing, they'll try playing around with interest rates, they'll try public works projects, which previously in history was actually more popular because ultimately it's smarter. And I'm not saying that I necessarily support public works projects, but it's a million times better than just printing money and giving it to bankers. I'm all for public works projects if those are the two options I have to choose from. Historically, though, we do see that every time there's an intervention, the longer and more intense that intervention is, the worse the conditions get. And that's why you can see this historically plotted on the charts, that exactly what I've said, that you can see that really these recessions, these depressions have gone on longer and longer. They used to be short periods of time, but because of the intervention, they're stretched out longer and longer. At the same time, fundamentals remain poor, including concerns about a structural and cyclical slowdown in China, its unsustainable currency regime, excessive leverage, and rising regional risks, such as the risk of the UK may exit the European Union. Making all excuses in the world. Everybody's weak. It's globalization. Everybody has to be weak together. Now, they form factions and alliances. For example, China and Russia trying to do business with each other so that as the West slowly but surely loses its power, loses that frame it has, then China and Russia can sort of pick up the pieces. But it isn't going to happen overnight. And it absolutely, if tomorrow we have an official recession called, China is not going to be able to step up its game overnight. Let's move on to this here from my book. It's a quote from Hayek. Practically all governments of history have used their exclusive power to issue money to defraud and plunder the people. I say that I agree entirely with this. How can you deny it? This is exactly what's happened. And you look historically over and over and over again. Every time they stick their hands in, they make it worse. This right here is some interesting info. I wanted to bring it out there, and I'm sure you'll find it interesting as well. The Government Accountability Office found this. The federal government failed to properly monitor enrollee eligibility for Obamacare. That's according to their report. As a result, the government has made billions of dollars in Obamacare subsidy payments to individuals that may have been committing fraud. When the government wastes money, it's wasting our money. It is cutting our pay. It's damaging our lives. The Obama administration is treating us with contempt. Very interesting. I have to agree with this, definitely. And we look at it, billions of dollars could have been squandered right here over this Obamacare, which is nothing but a scam ever since the beginning. Increased the amount that people pay for their health care, complete lie. They weren't allowed to keep who they had existing, their existing insurance. Everything about it is destruction. And look at what happens here. The potential for billions of dollars being lost. Moving on to Market Watch's article, Silicon Valley may have plenty of millionaires, but the road to U.S. billionairedom is increasingly paved through finance. That's right. All the CEOs and all the big hedge funds and everybody, they're making the biggest money. Nearly 27% of all U.S. billionaires in 2014 worked in finance, hedge fund managers, and a few others. That's according to the study. And by comparison, just under 12% did in 1996. So more people are making money in finance now than they ever have before. And this goes to show you where the profit is to be made, where the squandering is, where it's all happening. When you have the big CEOs able to use their high-frequency trading, they make good money with their corporations, and of course that gets passed down the line. They're doing good, and it's clearly showing right here. Let's move on to this. It's intuitive that automation will take low-wage jobs. But the White House, and remember, this is the White House itself, in its annual economic report of the president has broken down just how much that is so. Believe it or not, there's an 83% chance that automation will take a job with an hourly wage below $20. A 31% chance automation will take a job between $20, and it goes on. Basically, what we're looking at is all the low-wage jobs are eventually going to be replaced by robotics and automation. Many people will think that their job is not going to be replaced by automation and robots. Perhaps not at first, but as they get smarter, as they get better, the jobs are being replaced. The driverless cars, all of the factory workers that are getting replaced today, not 10 years from now, 20 years from now, today as it is. These things are changing. And what's happening here is that the higher paying jobs, perhaps those manufacturing jobs or other jobs, they're being shipped overseas and to be potentially even replaced overseas. But at the same time, the only jobs that are left here are the low-paying jobs. So now you can't even get temporary work anymore. You have to basically go on the government welfare system, government assistance, social assistance, because that's all that's available when the robots take your jobs. This is coming. I'm going to cover it as often as I possibly can. If people don't agree with it, it's just a fact. Already in China, I've showed you the facts. Already in China, factory workers being replaced by robots. Slowly but surely, this is going to happen. Right here, out of Bloomberg, the Department of Homeland Security suffered over 100, quote, spills of classified information last year, 40 of which came from one office, according to the leaked internal document this individual here obtained. All I wanted to say is that our information, which is being consistently databased by the NSA, every government office, everyone all working in concert against us, all of that information is stored in their databases. Wherever it is, we don't really know. Perhaps it's with the NSA. Everything just goes there. I don't know. All I know is that everything is being tracked and traced. And then we have things like this where you have spills of information, whether it's intentional or not, doesn't matter. It gets in the hands of people who could be using it against our will. So even if, let's say, the government was all good, everything they did was just fine, we have this situation here where individuals who are not good could be stealing that information. This is what I worry about. We already have enough to worry about as it is in the government structure, but then when there's all these holes and all these loopholes and everything else, spills they want to call them, finding their way basically to get information into the hands of the wrong people. This is bad news, and this is why we can't have our information being put in all these databases everywhere, even though they say that they're encrypted and all this stuff. It doesn't matter. That information is being taken from us against our will. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. And last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you will find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. You can look through the book, head over to Amazon. They have a look inside feature, which will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Take care.